Good day, everyone. This is Polly Mules, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey now, everybody. How's it going?
Everything's going fine here. How are things going over in Ravenloft?
It is a mess. A complete, utter dumpster fire mess.
Okay. Those villagers are trying to throw you out of your castle or something.
It's not good. I curse every one of them.
Very well. Let's see if there is something in the news for this week is that we don't need to curse. And we'll begin with the Isle of Dread, where apparently there are some changes to the release date or something.
I was going to say we can kind of curse that the release date changed a little bit for Isle of Dread. Yeah, it could have been posted over on the forums. I'll read it verbatim. Quote, "We are hard at work getting Isle of Dread ready for further preview and its eventual release. And we want to share with you an updated release date. Isle of Dread will now release on June 22nd, 2022. The raid is expected to release a few weeks after the initial release of the Isle of Dread, as this has been done with previous expansions as well. Thank you." If I remember right, I think June 8th was the original release date, I think.
Right. Which I had some misgivings on because that was the date when that was 2 days after ESO was releasing High Isle. So,
oh, well, now you'll have time to do both.
Yeah, so now we can have a little bit of interval between the two expansions then.
Yeah, they didn't really give a reason why, but I'm assuming it's just a combination of a lot of things. But, good for SSG for being up front in it. And it's like, hey, we're working on it. We're going to preview it. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. There is going to be a Lamania. Well, we might as well talk about it now. I'm just gonna change the show notes up. We're going to talk about that now. Yeah, there is going to be a Lamania preview. It's coming up this coming Wednesday through Thursday, so June 1st and 2nd. Will be the dates on the Lamania preview. That is going to include the wilderness areas and then also a couple of the quests. We already had one Lamania preview. This is going to preview some more of the quests that weren't in the first one, and we're going to get our first look at the wilderness area. Tuesday, there is going to be a content creator preview like previous ones, so content creators can jump on. No promises, and hopefully if I do get on and be able to do it, my crap won't crap like it did last time, and I'll lose all of the stuff I record, but I'm going to try to jump on Lamania on Tuesday, but like I said, no promises because, dumpster fire, but we'll see. We will see.
We'll see. I have a feeling that the May 31st might be your last chance, probably, to be able to look at it.
Maybe it will. If not, it might just be, well, wait till it's live and we'll do it live.
Yeah, there is always that. So therefore, we'll have that Lamania preview coming up, and then 3 weeks after that, we will finally have the release. Now, I noticed that some members of the forums felt that there wasn't any real precedent about releasing raids a few weeks after the initial release, at least not the first raid. And I know because that's been pretty much par for the course in Lotro for years and years and years. But DDO, the first raid's usually been with... I know there's only one raid this time. But the first raid has...
It's always
usually been with the release?
No, it's always been a couple weeks after.
Oh, so... You
mean at least for the past... I'm trying to think. That started with maybe... Ravenloft might have been the first time they did that, because I don't remember the Strahd raid coming out right with Ravenloft.
Well, yeah, but because Baba
Baba Yaga and Strahd both were after Ravenloft.
So therefore, these people are saying that they've always released it with the...
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, back in the day they did, but at least, I'm pretty sure at least since Ravenloft. Anybody jump in, correct me, podcast at ddoplayers.com or respond either if you're watching the video or if the podcast, go over to the site and respond, or on the YouTube version, and tell me if I'm wrong on that. But I am pretty sure they have done it for a while like this. It's always the expansion pack comes out, and then about 2-3 weeks later, like either one of the raids comes out or two of the raids come out. Sometimes they split them. One comes out and then the other comes out. I don't know what people are talking about that they've never done this, because they've done it for the past couple.
All right, because I don't know as much about on the raids on the DDO side, because I don't think I've ever done an at cap raid in DDO before. I think the only raid I ever did was
it wasn't really at cap, because we did take you into the Shroud, but
that was the Shroud, and
technically
I think that
wasn't at cap, right?
Yeah, that definitely wasn't. That was nowhere near cap. So I think technically it's not even a word you need to use on that one.
Well,
I mean, it might have been that we had a character in the raid who was a little bit higher than the level of the raid itself.
Maybe, possibly.
Yes.
Possibly, maybe, but
Possibly. And that's opposed to... Well, Lotro, I haven't done too many of the raids either, but I have done 2 Lotro raids at cap.
Which surprises me, because you're not a big raider at all.
No, I'm not a big raider. Well, having only done
me.
2 at cap is saying you're not a big raider.
Right. I mean, that's true. But I'm just surprised you've done any.
Yeah.
Good on you for expanding your horizons.
Yes, and one of them was because we wanted to see a continuation of a story in something that was to do with Mordor, back when the Mordor.
Oh, gotcha.
And the other one is the most recent one, where I think after all those storylines involving this dragon, you just want to be in there and kill that thing. And that, plus the tier 1 raids in Lotro are, at least in this particular case, is tuned so that it's actually conceivable that a not as strong group can actually have a chance of winning it. It looks like it's only at tier 2 where it really starts to say, all right, now we're getting into where you have to be a real raider in order to do this.
Oh, gotcha. One of those.
But there are 5 tiers of raids in Lotro right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, they're various different levels on.
They do Lotro raids way different than DDO raids then.
Right. So the tier 1. So I've completed the tier 1 most recent raid a few times, and I've attempted the tier 2 one, but I could just say that it ends in tears.
I'm sure it does.
I'm sure. Let's then head into what we have on making the tabaxi. This is from the concept to blinking. Is this the spell blinking or their eyes blinking?
Their eyes blinking. They're fully animated. Yeah, this was a pretty cool. Usually, I'm going to be totally honest, and this is not just for DDO. This is for any game. I usually don't get into these dev diaries that much, because I'm just okay, so you created this thing. I mean, I appreciate all the work that you go to do said whatever for your game. Like I said, this is not just DDO centric. This is any game. I usually kind of glance over some of these dev diaries, but I don't dig deep into them. But this one I actually enjoyed reading, because they tell you from, stage 1 what they were thinking about, and then how it's a collaborative effort. The artists, the animators, the designers, everybody is kind of adding input, and everybody's doing just this little bit of work to make your tabaxi in DDO. So it starts out, they talk about the different hairstyles that you can do. And then, of course, once you have your hairstyles, you got to have your good looking clothes, because you got to look good with your fancy hair. So they talk about that. And then they talk about how, that these are great, cat-like humanoids. So they had to work on the animations to make them walk, make them, yes, even blink. They do blink. So Doctor Who would be proud.
Doctor Who would want you not to blink.
Well, that's true. After I said that, I'm actually, they probably shouldn't blink, but that would look really creepy if they didn't blink. Take that back. Make them blink, because that'll look really creepy. And of course, they dance, so they show off the dance in the little Deb diary as well. But yeah, this is a pretty fast read. It was just pretty neat. Like I said, I usually don't get into these Deb diaries, but I really, really enjoyed this one. So if you want to get a little more behind the scenes, as it were, on how they are creating the tabaxi from the concept to blinking, go ahead and check that out. Links in the show notes.
Right. And then let's go front to the backseat to the Isle of Dread. The story so far.
Yeah, this was kind of a neat little thing too. This is just kind of a little overview on, okay, what exactly is going on here without any spoilers. So it starts out, the island appears. The Isle of Dread disappeared as quickly as it appeared, but its arrival shook the foundation of multiple worlds. Its sudden location off the coast of Storm Ridge has been linked to the aftermath of the destruction of a powerful magical artifact called the Codex of Infinite Planes, and the cult of Vecna is allegedly involved. Read more to get up on speed of the story before playing the Dread. So yeah, this, I said, this was a fun little read too. It kind of starts out to tell you they go way back from some previous storylines, and everything is kind of weaved all together, actually, into the Isle of Dread. So go check this little Deb diary out too. This one was pretty good too. It's all connected, as they say. It's all connected.
It's all these stories that we've been having us collecting all those crazy
all the codex pages. It's all connected.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, then let's then go from game news and see what's coming out from the dungeon. Where it looks like that several of the upcoming WotC products aren't quite coming out yet.
Little slight delay. Yeah, WotC did say, yeah, we've got some delays. It's due to a bunch of stuff. I'm sure you've heard the word supply chain issues many times with many things. Partly that is due to this delay. So the first delay WotC announced was Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. That is the next book in line to release. That is going to release on July 19th instead of the original, which I didn't look up what the original date was, but I think it was like earlier in June, so it's actually pushed way back. And then if you're not familiar, we did talk about this. It's been a while since we talked about this book, but this is going to be an anthology of 13 standalone adventures. It's going to get you from 1 to 14. It's based around this Radiant Citadel, which is this location on an ethereal plane. So that's coming out. The second delay got pushed back a little bit is a product we did talk about just a couple weeks ago as well. It's the Campaign Case The Terrain box set. This is going to hit your stores on August 16th now. And this, to remind you, is that box that every dungeon needs to construct your encounters, either for the wilderness, dungeon, or cities. It's got a bunch of tiles. You can flip the tiles. It's got some terrain in it as well, so you can just do whatever you need. Once again, this was bumped to August the 16th. Curiously, though, the other campaign case that's coming out, which is the creature set, it didn't get delayed, at least so far. And then Spelljammer Adventures in Space is still on track to release on August 16th, which is not a change, which is weird that especially one of the campaign cases got delayed and the other didn't. It's just kind of weird. And then why? Because Spelljammer, if you remember us talking about Spelljammer, that's a 3-book set box set. So you mean you can get that out on time, but you can't get a single book out on time? It's just weird.
Oh, well.
But, supply chain, yada, yada, yada. pandemic, yada, yada, yada. Insert all the talk you've heard everywhere, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so little delay on a couple of the WotC products, but still on the way, just a couple of them a little bit later, 2 of them so far unaffected, question mark, we'll see. My guess is those other 2 are going to get delayed too, but we'll see.
All right, I guess we'll just have to find out. Now, I've also heard that if you can get your own statue of everyone's favorite lich, Vecna.
Yes! God, I want this so bad. Oh my God, do I want this. Yeah, WizKids, you did it again, WizKids. You did it again. Yeah, they had pre-orders open for their just announced Vecna statue. This is a premium statue, of course, which comes with a premium price. We'll talk about in a second. This is depicting everybody's favorite lich in golden armor adorned with rubies. He also has his hand curiously attached to him, which we all know his hand he doesn't have anymore, but okay. Anyway, so yeah, this just take a guess, because you know all of these other statues that WizKids are coming out with. We've talked about the prices. What do you think the Vecna statue is going to set you back? It's 12 inches tall.
12 inches. Okay.
And as a little bonus, the Book of Vile Darkness is wedged into his rib cage. So you get the Book of Vile Darkness as a little bonus with your Vecna statue.
Oh, but how does it get wedged into his rib cage if the statue's only 12 inches tall?
Very carefully. Suspension of disbelief. It's a little miniature Book of Vile Darkness, but if you
it's a miniature book.
Yeah, if you zoom in on the statue, you can actually see that the book is in his ribcage. It's kind of a cool little touch.
Okay.
So anyway, 12-inch premium Vecna statue. What is it going to run you? And it looks freaking amazing too. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, it's going to be on the screen right now as I'm waxing poetic about how much I want this dang thing.
Yes, but I'm just trying to figure out, where are you at this point in time going to get $262.49?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nah, it's not going to happen. Just like you don't see the hand and eye of Vecna sitting around my house anywhere either, do you? No.
Well,
because I couldn't afford that crap either.
Yes.
But oh my God, do I want this? Because everybody knows
where'd you put it anyway?
Anywhere I want. No, if I would have the hand in the eye and the statue, I would probably put it either on my entertainment center by my TV, or I would put it on top of the storage cabinets I have that I store my vinyl records in. I would probably put one on each side of my speakers for my stereo.
Right. And then the day afterwards, they announced the lifelike statue of Strahd.
That would go somewhere too. But yeah, no, not happening either way. But yeah. Yeah, no, these are, oh my God, these are so cool. I'm hoping I'll be able to take a look at this, because I know last year at Gen Con, they did have the eye in the hand statue that they have. So I'm hoping they have a copy of this at Gen Con that I can look at and wish and pretend that I could afford to own, but yeah, it's not going to happen. Because everybody knows I love Vecna, but yeah, no, this is not going to happen. Not at all.
Oh, well.
It's cool as hell, though. Oh my God, it's so cool. But yeah, no.
Let's leave that and head to the tabletop. Where they have announced the nominations for the 2022 Spiel des Jahres.
Yay! Everybody loves the nominations for this, and games that we probably never heard of.
Well,
which I am in that camp, because there are some of these games I'm like, what?
Well, actually, I was listening to the Game Boy Geek give his rundown of these. It says it looks like that this year is typical in there where they have one game that everyone's heard of, another game that a few people have heard of, and another one who's saying, "Huh?"
That is true. That pretty much sums up my exact reaction to when I read these. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
Okay, huh? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's run these down, and then we can say I've heard of that or I've never heard of that. The big one, of course, the Spiel des Jahres, which is the game of the year, is Scout. That is published by One More Game and Oink Games. Cascadia, published by Flat Out Games. And Top 10, published by Cocktail Games.
Right. And of these,
mm-hmm.
I had actually was already planning on getting Cascadia even a few days before this was announced.
I figured Cascadia would be a game that you would enjoy and get.
Because, I had heard rumors of the game for a while, but I didn't actually decide that this sounds like a game that I would really like until about, I think it was like a couple of days before the Spiel nominees were doing. I'm just hoping that, is it still going to be in stock?
That's true, because
order, or is everybody just bought it out?
Yeah, that's usually what happens when something is nominated for the Spiel. Yeah, it gets sold out pretty quickly. But yeah, Cascadia is the only one of these that I have ever heard of.
Right. And I think top 10 is one, because I think they said that it almost felt like it was a new version of a game that was already around or something like that. I think it was top 10.
Okay. And then, of course, when they nominate these, they do list some recommendations. And their recommendations is Bliss 20, Chakra, Point Salad, Switch and Signal, and the Key Sabotage.
Now, I thought Point Salad has been around for a long time.
It has, and that's what was weird to me with their recommendations for that, because I swear Point Salad has been out at least 3 years now, if not more.
I've been hearing people give recommendations for that one for a long time.
Because I swear I remember that came out at Gen Con like 3 years ago, and everybody was in love with Point Salad.
Is it possible that it took it 3 years to get to Germany?
Maybe. I didn't think about that. Possibly, maybe.
Yeah, because usually there's one of the games that's on here, something that's been out and well known in Germany, but not
right. Yeah, I gotta say it's usually the other way around. It's usually because German people are like, why is this getting all the hype? This has been out forever. But yeah, it's weird. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I should say that Switch and Signal is another one which I had decided around the time I decided to get Cascadia, where Switch and Signal is also on my June list. So,
well, good luck getting those, sir.
Yeah, good luck getting them.
And then the Kinderspiel, which is the enthusiast game of the year. The nominations are Cryptid, Living Forest, and Dune Imperium. Cryptid is from Osprey Games, Living Forest is from Ludonite, and Dune Imperium from Dire Wolf Digital.
And of those three, Dune Imperium is another one that's on my soon-to-get list.
I kind of want to get Cryptid. I've been looking at Cryptid. I need to get a hold of Osprey, because we sort of have kind of a working relationship with them, but they've recently just switched PR companies and PR people, so I might have to touch base. But yeah, Cryptid. Well, Dune looks pretty good too, though.
Yeah. Now, I had once played, I still have a copy of the old Dune game, the one that was done by the people who did Cosmic Encounter.
Yep.
And I think was that Avalon Hill that put out the original?
I think originally it was Avalon Hill, yeah.
Yeah.
Originally back in the day.
Yes.
And then it switched to some other people, and then there's been like 30,000 other different Dune games that have come out, but yeah.
Right. Now it's...
the latest version of any Dune game was Gale Force 9, I do believe, was the last Dune game that came out. Other than this Dune Imperium, of course.
Right. All right.
And then, out of those, Dune Imperium Encrypted. So out of those, I have heard of 2. Living Forest, never heard of it. The committee also recommends Korra, no clue. Witchstone, have heard of that. And Ark Nova, have heard of that.
All right.
So at least we're getting a little better. And then we come to our Kinderspiel, which, of course, is the children's game of the year. And games I have no idea what they're talking about.
Well,
Quacks
you
and
don't
Company.
Have children.
Well, that's very, very true. Quacks and Company. That's from Schmidt Spiel. Clever Jr., also from Schmidt Spiel. And Magic Mountain by Amigo.
Now, Clever Jr., I believe, is that supposed to be a take on That's Pretty Clever, I believe?
I think it is. I was going to look it up, but yes, I think it is. That's So Clever, but it's for kids. It's like the kids version, I think. But I was going to look that up before we recorded, and I forgot.
Yeah, I remember hearing them when they were giving their talk about that same. And I think I saw the box for that one. Yeah, that essentially kids version of That's Pretty Clever.
Then the committee recommends The Villa of the Vampires, which has my attention.
It should.
For unknown reasons why I saw that, and I'm like, I might have to look that one up. The Golden Egg and the Honey, and then I'm going to let you try to say this other one, because I'm not even going to pretend I can pronounce this game.
You mean Frochis?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, that is pretty tough, especially SCH makes it. I'm trying to Frochis, because I'm trying to get that CH sound with the
Good
S
luck.
sound. I'm sure the Germans have a special rule for that.
I'm sure, but
yeah, their throats are built in a way that Americans can never hit.
Like I said, I wasn't even going to pronounce that one. So yeah, there you go. That's our Spiel nominations for this year. But I am going to have to check out this Villa of the Vampires. I have no idea what it is, no idea what it's about, but I want it.
The Villa of the Vampires. You don't care what's the thing is like.
Nope. I'll get it and I'll play it with my nephews and my niece. It'll be fine. I don't care. It's a kid game. I want it.
Now, let's see. Villa of the Vampires, they called it?
Yep, the Villa of the Vampires.
Which is
I have no idea.
Interesting, because there's no entry for that in Board Game Geek.
Interesting.
I mean, they do have an entry for Action Clever, which is the version we're talking about with the kids' version of Clever.
Yep, that's So Clever, right?
But not so. But I don't see anything about a Villa of the Vampire.
Oh, I found it.
Oh,
it is Die Villa der Vampire.
Oh, of course, it's in the title's in German.
It's German, yeah. The little blurb about it: toss garlic bulbs with care to wake up old, sleepy vampires. The big vampire festival, cool, which takes place every 99 years, is coming up in the abandoned villa. But what's this? The very old vampires are still, quote, sleeping calmly in their coffins, and they might miss out. You can't have that. In Die Villa der Vampire, you slip into the role of child vampires, and with the help of vampire bats, try to maneuver garlic bulbs into suitable graves in the vampire's villa to wake up the old vampires. But where exactly are the well-heeled vampires who will bring a lot of vampire points hiding? Who will use their skill and luck to collect the most vampire points and win? Okay, I'm in.
Yes.
I'm in.
But based on the entry here, it sounds like they don't quite yet have a English version in it or anything like that.
It doesn't look like there is an English version of this. And this is published, if you're curious, by Dre Magler Spiel, which I have no idea what they have done before. But there you go. There is the Villa of the... It's interesting that they did the American pronunciation of it and not the English.
Yeah,
okay,
you mean in the awards thing?
Yeah.
That sounds...
And not the German name, I mean. Yeah. I just looked up the game company to see the other games they did. The one of the other games they made was Cockroach Poker Royal, The Magic Labyrinth, and The Enchanted Tower. But they've done 91 games total. That's just some of the games. So, okay. But yeah, that's weird that they did the English version or the English name in the nominations and not the Divillator Vampire.
Yes. And it looks like this company must specialize in children's games.
It looks like they only do children's games from what I'm looking at here. Maybe I will reach out to them and say, hey, you ever going to do an English version of this? Because I'm your man. If you do an English version, yes. I'm your man.
All right. Well, so those are the nominees. And when will they announce the winners?
July 19th, I do believe.
And that's for the
that's for the Spiel and the Kinderspiel. And then the Kinderspiel is usually just in a couple weeks. It's like first week of June or the second week of June, I think. Right. It's usually really early. I'm not sure why the Kinderspiel is always way earlier than the
I have a feeling they're afraid that if they waited until the day the others were announced, it would be overshadowed.
Oh, maybe that could be. That's a good...
Anyway, let's then go into Gen Con, where Gen Con updates us with the May health and safety update. And I guess there's going to be a June update at some point.
Yay, Gen Con. Yeah, there should be, and probably a July. Gen Con's been really good about doing this with the whole, pandemic thing. They just kind of update and say, hey, here's where we're at. Here's what we're doing. Yada, yada, yada. So they do say, and this is linked in the website, you can go over on Gen Con's site and read this thing in full. To sum it up, I'll just read the very beginning here. Back when we started bringing Gen Con Indie back to life post-lockdown, we emphasized two key principles: consistency and communication. Consistency means minimizing changes to plans and policy, and communication means telling you what we're thinking on a regular basis, even if it means over-communicating a little. Is there even such a thing? As we approach the summer season, I hope we're delivering on both of those fronts. So as of right now, as we record this on May 26th is when we're recording the show, the policy is remaining the same. I'm going to repeat it here, and this is David Hopi, the president of Gen Con, writing this. He's going to repeat it here. Masks and proof of vaccination will be required for participation at Gen Con Indy 2022. They will continue to update you with more details as they get closer to the convention. So as of right now, you need to wear your mask anytime you're indoors, no matter what you're doing. You got to have your mask, and you're going to have to show proof of vaccination. They do state if you do have a valid medical exemption from vaccination, you are going to be allowed to attend, but you are going to have a doctor's letter and a negative COVID test from within 48 hours of arrival at the convention. There's going to be a special services desk set up just for this. So if you're one of those people that absolutely cannot get vaccinated for a medical reason, which there are people that are like that, your doctor should know the proper letter to give you, and you just show them that. You'll be good to go. You're just going to have to, like I said, show that negative COVID test within 48 hours of you getting to Indy for Gen Con, and you'll be good to go. But once again, got to wear your mask. So keep mask up.
All right.
He goes on to say some more stuff. You can go ahead and read this full thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that was basically the key point is, yes, you still got to be masked. You still got to provide proof of vaccination, which... you had to wear masks last year. They didn't do the whole vaccination proof last year, so that's kind of new for this year. But masking wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So we'll all be fine. We'll get through this. Just be nice, wear your mask, everybody be cool, and we'll all enjoy Gen Con together.
Then, speaking of Gen Con, they have released a map of the exhibit hall, at least the current state of the map, since I guess that could be subject to change, or
yeah, they do kind of update it from time to time, and in any case. But so far, knock on wood, nobody has pulled out of the convention this year. If you remember last year, we were always talking about this company's not going to be there, this company's not going to be there, that company. This year, so far, everybody's going to be there, and all the big guys that didn't come last year are going to be there.
I see Asmodee on there, Upper Deck in that area.
Fantasy Flight Games is going to be there as well. They weren't there last year. Upper Deck, yeah. So all the big guys are going to be there. The Op, Pandasaurus, Paizo, all the big boys are going to be there, and then plus all the other exhibitors. So yeah, you can check the map out, plan your plan of attack through the exhibit hall. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm getting so excited for Gen Con. We, of course, are going to be covering the show again this year. I do have a press pass yet again. So look for all of our Gen Con coverage starting. I usually start a little the day before, because I go down on Wednesdays, so we kind of start there, and then during the show, I try to tweet a little bit, post on our Facebook page, kind of too. Usually tweets is what I do mostly. Might try to do some live stuff maybe this year too. We'll see how that works out.
Well, we'll see, because we just hope that the recordings are...
Yeah, exactly. Knock on wood, crap doesn't disappear like it has been to me. So yeah, I got to check the camera and everything out, and that's another thing. The camera's getting long in the tooth. It's about time to upgrade the video camera, but anyway, won't worry about that. So yeah, we are going to be covering Gen Con. We don't have a sponsor this year though, which is different. In the years past, we've had sponsors, but I don't exactly know why we don't have our tried and true sponsor this year. It's a weird situation, but that's neither here nor there. Hopefully
supply chain issues with
maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a weird situation, but we still love Skull Splitter Dice, love them to death. They're just not sponsoring our Gen Con coverage this year, which is fine. So yeah, that means we don't have a sponsor, so that means everything is on me. So yeah.
Oh well, there's we'll see what we can do about that.
So yeah, if you want to help out, just send me an email and we'll talk, because yeah. Anyway. So yeah, and look for our annual Surviving Gen Con podcast. We're going to try to record it, and then I'll release it. So look for that probably the week of Gen Con. We are going to have that. I know a couple of people ask if we're going to do that again this year. We are, and it's going to be cool. And actually, this is the year that Lessa, Tay, and Rent are actually all coming to Gen Con again this year, because they go every other year, and they skipped last year because of the pandemic, but they're back on. So we'll definitely be talking about that. And Mystery is actually coming to Gen Con this year too, which is kind of cool. So that's going to be the first time that I'm actually going to be able to meet her in real life, as they say. So yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. So yeah, look for that. Like I said, we're going to pre-record the Gen Con podcast. We always do the, if you have been listening to the podcast for a while, you know, every year we do record a Gen Con specific podcast where we just talk about tips, tricks, just the ins and the outs of Gen Con. And that is usually with Tay, Lessa, and Rent. So stay tuned for that. We're kind of working out when we can record that. And we're going to have a special surprise during that podcast too. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be cool. Trust me.
You invited Strahd?
Maybe. You ruined the surprise.
Oh, sorry about that. Let's then go into our week in gaming. Drac, what were you up to?
Yeah, no gaming, not at all. Yeah, we'll talk more about this later, but yeah, no gaming for me. I almost attempted to play a game, but then I was like, yeah, no. My poor gaming computer is just sitting here with more cobwebs than are usually in the castle, but it's fine.
Ah, poor
And then
computer.
a lot of the board games are all packed up in boxes, just like screaming at me, "Why am I in a box? Let me out." Like, well, stuff happens.
All right. And then I'll head into my week in gaming, and I'll begin with something I decided to do when the Tabaxi came out. Is that I thought maybe I will try to create parallel characters in ESO and DDO. So of course,
Okay.
in DDO, I'll create a Tabaxi, and then in ESO, I'll create a Khajiit.
Of course you did.
Right. And now, of course, I wanted them to have, in some ways, a similar appearance, shall we say. So I was thinking, what class should I make my Tabaxi, and what should I do with the Khajiit to make them similar to each other? And I can't remember how I came up with this rather crazy idea, but I thought, how about if I had a Tabaxi monk? All right, because I
Okay.
thought
All right.
the
Makes sense.
iconic is a monk, so I thought,
Mm-hmm.
okay, a monk that would be reasonable. Something that uses a high dexterity there. So okay, let's try a Tabaxi monk. And at first, I was thinking a staff monk because I figured there are plenty of staves in ESO. But when I tried creating the Khajiit with a staff, of course, I was reminded that you don't melee with an ESO staff. The main thing you do with an ESO staff is shoot spells out of it, which is completely inappropriate for a monk. So I thought, no, that's not going to work. So then I decided, how about I have dual wielding knives for each of them? All right, because that's easy enough to do in ESO.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that would work in
Okay,
ESO.
dual wielding knives pretty easy to do, and you could do that in DDO. Now I had to be a little bit more careful this one because I told you before I'm a monk. So there's only one way that I know of to do wield knives as a monk in DDO, and that is to take the Vistani knife fighter.
I was gonna say Bastani, but then I wasn't for sure if you could still do that and still be a monk.
You can, yeah,
Okay.
you can be a Vistani, and in fact, it's the only way I know of to properly do it because the only trait I know of that allows you to use daggers as a monk without losing center is in the Vistani line.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Like I said, I've
Yeah,
never done a
right.
monk, so I couldn't tell you for
So
sure.
therefore, I started out by using a pair of kama, whatever you call those things when it's in the plural. So I started out by using a pair of those, but as soon as I got the trait in the Vistani that allows me to dual wield daggers
Mm-hmm.
without worrying about losing centering, then I switched over to that. Now I'm using dual daggers in both of them, and
I
it's
love
coming
dual
up.
daggers so much.
Yes,
I love
and,
my Bastani so much.
yes, and I'm doing pretty well with them, I think. And so I've done all the Borderlands, and I'm also about halfway, I would say, maybe a third of the way through Saltmarsh at the moment. And I'm thinking, especially with the delay in there, that maybe I can get myself to level 7, is it, for the Isle of Dread?
Yes.
Yeah, so if I can get to level 7 by the time of the release date, then perhaps I could take the Bastan. I mean, yeah, it is a Bastan. Yes, my Tabaxi monk at through the Isle of Dread, and I can make that my Isle of Dread character.
Okay.
Now, the only thing I'm thinking that might be against that is I know that we're considering doing a.
Right. I was going to say, if you do that, we'll have to do something different for our thing, or I'll have to switch my character, which would be fine. I wasn't sure if that was the character you were talking about, or you were going to create another character to do the thing that we're going to do.
Yeah, because that's the other possibility is that I could use this as my character to play with you.
Right.
Yeah, I could use this as a character I play with you, and then still take my alchemist as my solo through the.
There you go. Yeah.
Through that. That's another possibility I could do.
There you go.
All right. Probably what exactly I'll do is probably depends on how settled you are and able to play when.
More on that later, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll know more about that later. Right. Now, the other thing that I did is that this month's Minecraft Hardcore Challenge was to go against a mansion. Now, I might have mentioned this in an early one also, is that I've never beaten a mansion in Minecraft. There's no way I was going to do it in hardcore. So I decided so I took the seed of this much MHC and decided to run it as normal. But not only did I run it normally, as I decided to play it in a 1.19 snapshot. And the reason why I'm doing that is other reason why I wanted to run this on there, especially with the mansion nearby, is because a new helper mob called the LA is coming out 1.19. And this mob, one of the two places that you can find it is in a mansion.
Okay.
So sort of dovetailed. So I decided to go in there and I did a short series where I was essentially trying to conquer this mansion, and it certainly demonstrated why I did not want to run this hardcore, because let us just say that if I remember my reading right, I died 33 times in the course of taking over this mansion.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, I killed 100 mobs while doing it, so I say, well, I had a 3-to-1 ratio. That's called success, right? I know, keep dreaming.
Oh, my God.
But yes, but I did manage to conquer the mansion and completely take over it and successfully do that. But it certainly cost a good number of lifetimes in order to do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, that means that now I can finally check off, yes, Conquered Mansion off my list in there. And it also says that I had a chance to at least see an LA. I have no idea once 119 comes out and I'm in a random world if I'm ever going to see one of those things again. We'll find out. The other place you can get them is at a pillager outpost, which you can't completely take over a pillager outpost, but you might be able to do a raid in there, free up an LA or two, and then get out of there. Maybe that's what I'll have to see if I can do. But that's for the future. And that was my week in gaming. We currently have 14 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious group of players and help DDO players, you can go to the nation's page to support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. And we do not have any emails this week. We'd like send one. You can send it to podcasts at ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. The Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, and Dracula at Dracula_72, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. And I think you have an update to give on our podcast schedule.
Yeah, or lack thereof. I apologize so much. The podcast has been super sporadic here of late. As you know from listening to the show, I'm sure you probably are shocked when you see us hit your feed and you're like, oh my God, they recorded a podcast. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It is all on me. I am so sorry. It should be getting better, but it's probably not going to get better until July. I'm moving. I do have a place to move to. The move is going to be slow and painful. So the podcast is still going to be sporadic and might be on a mini hiatus. Just stay tuned to our Twitter feed or whatever. But I promise everybody, once I get moved, once I get settled, once I get internet all squared and set and everything, we should be back to a normal-ish schedule. Hopefully things will get better, but like I said, I just appreciate everybody for sticking with us. I know it's super frustrating because sometimes we go a couple of weeks between shows. It's just, it's all on me. It's all on this weird dumpster fire that is my life right now. But hopefully once I get moved, settled in, yada, 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 probably not going to be until July. So June, stick with us. It's going to be weird for June, but I promise we'll get back to a semi-normal state soon, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Drac. And if you would like to listen to one of our shows live, you can listen to it from ddoplayers.com/live. And maybe someday we'll have a regular schedule again so that you could actually predict when we'll be going live.
One can hope.
Yes, one can up. And that is it for tonight. And this is Five Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.